All right, everybody. Welcome to Fish North Georgia's Tuesday Nighter here. We are so glad you could join us again. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Click that notification bell. And for those of you that are going to be watching at a later time, hey, we appreciate you guys too. Make sure you follow Fish North Georgia on all our social media. So DGP Bass 3 is already in there. Bueller. That's right. Little Ferris going on. Guys, before we get started, season 2 of the Real American Road Trip is fixing to drop. And we got a little teaser video we want you guys to watch while I'm letting our guests get kind of comfortable and everything. So you guys check this out and we'll be right back.
Fish on.
My next great adventure took me to northern Michigan, a place I'd never been to before. And I can't believe just how beautiful it was. From crystal clear rivers to Lake Michigan. What the hell is that? My Lord. Beautiful forest and farmlands and some amazing sand dunes. And I fished in ways I've never fished before. I went for king salmon, coho, lake trout, and
There you go. Another one. Double on.
got a double. And I even got to do a little fly fishing in some of the most pristine river water I've ever seen.
Oh,
Got it,
yes.
got it.
That's a nice brown, brother.
Well, that was fun. And the best part about the entire trip was the people that I met. Some great characters, great food, great drink. You guys are going to love it. I had the time of my life. So come join me. You're watching the Real American Road Trip. All right, guys, we're back. I hope we couldn't tell on this side. That's the first time we played a video on this podcast. So I hope you guys actually heard it. Tony, what's up? Nick B, good evening. And all you guys, again, if you're in the comment section tonight and you got a question for our guest tonight, make sure you put it down there or, just a comment about what we're going to talk about. So, you guys know how this podcast works. It's the guests and it's the viewers that make it possible. So let me introduce my guest. I'm going to get rid of the nervous one first. To my right, one Jon Aldred right there, So he's we're gonna bring him into it.
Okay.
He comes in here all the time, and he loves talking. But I told him that he was going to be on the show with Mike Bucca tonight, and that's who we've got in here. Mike Bucca's in the house, guys. You know him, you love him. All the stuff that he's done in the swim bait world. So we're gonna talk about swim baits. And again, you guys definitely help me out because I'm not a swim bait angler. And I told Mike that before the show. It's like I couldn't even begin to tell you the ins and outs, even what to throw a swim bait on. So I am going to be learning just like you guys tonight. So we'll start up. I'm going to throw you a little softball, Mike, to get you warmed up. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thanks for having me here.
No, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
I told you we're going to start off a little easier, and then we'll get into the more specific stuff. But, tell me about how you got into starting making your own baits.
Wow. I started off as a guide on Altoona, and I was frustrated, just like everybody else is trying to catch the bigger fish, And, the definition of insanity is keep doing the same things over and over again and hoping to get different results.
That's what my wife says.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just started thinking, I know going smaller, it didn't help my sizes. You catch a lot more fish, but you don't catch many bigger quality. And I know the quality was out there. And so I said, what happens if I go up in size, And this was 16, 17, 18 years ago.
Right.
And we didn't have shad swim baits back then. All we had was the stuff out from California, It was all trout based. And so I started fishing some trout swim baits. I started off with a triple trout and a musky jitterbug. Those were my first 2 swim baits that I had. And while I didn't blow the doors off, I became more consistent in catching them, I would end up catching 2 or 3 5-pound spots a year to go on to 8 or 9 or 10, a year. So that was progress, And then you carry this to other lakes that are better than Altoona at the time. And that's where things really started paying off, It was kind of like the new Alabama rig, when it first started. And it's not that bad, but it really started to shine when you fish baits that other people do not fish, especially baits this size.
Yeah.
And that is what really propelled things for me and guide service. But I made these things just to catch my clients bigger fish. I didn't had no intention of doing this full time. So I mean, it was a vicious cycle. I would go, to gas stations. People would say, "Hey, you're the swim bait guy." I had people flying in from all over the United States, the Southeast, which was unheard of back then.
Yeah.
And still kind of in its infancy, learning how to fish these big baits. And it was a vicious cycle there. I would go home, make baits, sleep, guide. They would buy them off of me. I had to make more baits, and it just kept going and kept going. And people were stopping me at gas stations, and I would cut one off and give it to them back then. And that's how I got started, word of mouth, and success, and showing people how it was done. There were a lot of stumbling blocks along the way. It was expensive bait back then. It's still expensive now.
Right.
But people want customs, and people want things that work. And that's what we had going for us. And here we are 16 years later, and we're still plugging away at this stuff. But we were one of the first ones here in the East to do the swim bait stuff. We were one of the first ones to make a gizzard shad swim bait that caters to the South,
right?
Much less the trout out West,
Yeah.
And so it's been my motto to sit there and to make people believers one at a time,
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've been doing, and still to this day, we're still fighting that battle.
Yeah.
It's getting people to, like yourself, to pick up the big bait, to learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said that you will learn more about trophy bass and fishing big baits in a year than you will in a lifetime fishing other stuff.
Really?
It's a fact.
Okay.
Because you're see more fish, bigger fish.
Yeah.
That's information. You may not catch them sometimes, and sometimes you will, but that's information that gives you confidence. And I've always said that if you could bottle confidence up and sell it, you'd be a millionaire.
That's right.
And that's what we try to do. We try to bottle, give you the confidence in fishing a bait that actually calls these big fish up. There's a whole bunch of reasons why these things work as well as they do. But that has been what we've done the whole time, is try to get people to fish baits that look like fish, that swim like fish, that these fish eat every day.
That's right.
There's no trickery in this. It doesn't look like a jig. It doesn't look like a finesse worm. It's something that they feed on every day. So it should be an easier sell. But that's the gist of how we got started and where we're at today.
Well, I know the name Bullshad is synonymous, at least in this area, and I know every time you come up here, we talk Bullshads. You love them.
Yes, I do.
You love them. I mean, you are a fan.
Yeah, I've only been throwing them about a year and a half.
Yeah, but you're sold.
But yeah,
you're sold. So let me do something real quick too, because I know Josh, I saw him in the comment section. He's going to get on to me. When we showed you that clip of the Real American Road Trip, I did not tell you to go to YouTube, follow the Real American Road Trip page there, and also on Facebook and on Twitter, the Real American Road Trip. So I'm going to get in trouble from my bosses for that. For a new swim bait guy needing to build confidence, what, where, when, why? Beginner's guide, I guess. So let's take me.
Sure.
I don't throw them. Everybody that watches our show knows I throw a wacky rig. I'll throw you spinner baits and stuff, but I'm a finesse guy.
Sure.
Okay. I'm coming to you, Mike. I want to learn. I mean, look at the size of this thing. I mean, this guys, look, I mean, I've caught fish. Let me put that down there. I've caught fish. Oh, hell, it's so damn heavy. I can't hold it. Smaller than this, on my wacky worms and stuff. So you hand me something like this or any of these others that we're going to go over on the table. How do I get started? What's the first step?
Very good question. I want to first say, don't be like Mike. And the reason I say that is I fish for trophy fish myself. That's all I fish for.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't start off that way. I started off throwing 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch. It's kind of like riding a bike. You put your training wheels on and you put the small stuff. You get used to it. Okay. You get some confidence in it. And then you work your way up 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch. And then you're throwing giant stuff that takes 2 hands to throw.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is definitely what you need to do, is start small and work your way up. Don't start at an 8 or 9-inch bait.
Okay.
You're going to have the gollywhacker, mindset that said, this thing is huge. You don't want to mess with yourself up here. Another thing is throw them in the same places you throw your spinnerbait, your chatterbait, your jerkbait, your topwater. Same places.
Okay.
Same places. The reason these things work is because they mimic the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's one reason.
Right.
Number two, the reason the bigger baits work is a lot of people don't throw them. It's kind of something new. I mean, if you get a pond,
they don't see a lot of
yeah,
it.
see a lot of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, size wise is the key. And I like to tell people, you know, the reason big baits work, and there's many, many reasons. And one is a lot of people don't throw them. But I jovial self here. If I'm sitting on a couch and you put a jelly bean on the other end of the table, I probably won't get up out of my chair to get the jelly bean.
Right.
But if you throw a T-bone over there,
yeah, I got you.
I'll get up.
I got you.
And I'll chase it. So big fish are efficient feeders they want to eat one meal and they want to go back to the couch.
Yeah.
That is the simplest way that I can say it. And that is why you see a lot of followers, because it gets them off the couch.
Yeah.
You know, getting them to hit is a different story, but that gets them off the couch. And then you see them. So that gives you confidence that, hey, these baits pull fish. You don't ever see a follower for a spinnerbait very often, or a crankbait. You'll see it occasionally, but you see it a lot in the swim bait world.
Yeah.
You see them big fish, especially in clear water. I've caught fish as much as I'm fishing one dock, and I pulled one all the way off from another dock over there on clear water. You know, you could see them that far. I'm talking 15, 20 yards sometimes.
Really?
When you're making these super long casts on the right-hand side of a dock, and the fish from the left-hand side of the other dock sees it, you're pulling them off.
Gotcha.
So
okay,
they can see it. It's bigger. It's easier for them to see, and it's a meal for them.
That makes sense. And so, like Tony was the guy that asked that question. He said that's a great answer. Throwing it in the same places, that's logical.
100%.
Actually, hey Blake, there was a couple of questions up above that. One was about. Let's keep on going on up. First of all, it's over that, but I'm gonna talk to Farmer's kids. Farmer brought his son and daughter, Deacon and Deanna, to the shop this morning. I promised them that I would say hello to them, and now be good kids and go to bed for your dad. Don't give me any problems like that. So, Farmer, you got great kids, and thank God they look like your wife. Is all I got to say. So, Michael Brooks, when is Mike going to sell the trick gill on his website? When are you going to put the trick gill on your website?
Trick gill. You know, we rotate through a lot of different baits, and that's one of them we haven't rotated through in a while.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start working on them. The glide baits have been very challenging to keep up with, and I can't even imagine trying to do retailers with them. So we're working on that.
Gotcha.
You know, we've got some requests for it, so we'll definitely do that. We've been rotating through the shad. The shad has been where it's at.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do that. So we will rotate the gill.
I get that. And you're smaller, you're a small outfit. So it's not like you're a production company in China throwing them things out.
Exactly.
So I get that. And then there was one more. I want to make sure. And guys, listen, if you do have a question that we miss, pop it back in here, because once the comments get rolling, I often miss them. Alex Moore right there at the top. What type of baits do you see in the future?
I mean, what now?
What type of baits do you see in the future as far as these swim baits? Do you see it evolving, or have you got it pretty much as good as it's going to get?
No, there's more.
There's more. Okay.
No,
there's
a lot more.
There's a lot more.
That's the key.
Are we kind of keeping it under the rug a little bit? You got for now, but there is more coming.
No, there's more coming.
Okay. And listen, Brittany Fowler says, Mike, don't give out too much juice. Don't give out too many secrets tonight. Exactly. Listen, that's my job, is to get the secrets out of them. Ron Pendergrass says, Mike, tell them the knot to tie, the one you prefer. What knot do you prefer to tie on your swim baits?
That's a good question. I'm not even sure the name of it, to be honest with you. I just starts off like a Palomar.
Uh-huh.
If you take the loop and you wrap it around 3 times, and then you put it back under through, and you cinch it. You don't put the bait through it. It's just, I think it's the San Diego version of the San Diego jam knot.
There's so many knots out there. Hell, I can't keep up with them.
Now with braid, I'll do it 8 times.
Right.
Instead of 3 times for mono. So that's the only difference. But I think it's a San Diego name. It's also called a braid knot too.
A braid knot.
But I use it for mono.
Okay, so good. What knot do you use, John? I'm just curious.
He's improved Clint.
The improved, that's me.
I'm throwing it on fluoro, so I do everything wrong.
Yeah, we talked about that. You throw it on fluoro. You throw a lot of yours straight braid, from what I've heard.
I use straight braid.
Yeah, yes. And we're going to get into that. So, right there's a question right at the top. If you could pull it down just a tad there, Blake, for me. Right there you go. Trit fishing. Man, I ain't seen you trit in a while. You need to come up here. Explain the thought process. Most people go to a spotted bass lake and immediately put down the big bait, which is what I do. What made you stick with a big bait, say on a spotted bass lake, instead of downsizing?
Because I want to catch the biggest one there.
Well,
That's the mindset of a trophy guy. We want to catch the biggest fish in the lake. And, if you're tournament fishing, you probably won't do very well throwing an 8 or 9 inch bait. But if you're trying to fish for one quality bite, and you might get a big largemouth in there on a spotted bass lake, I throw the biggest thing I can find. Not always. I kind of improvise a little bit on a largemouth lake or a striper. I'll throw some bigger 9, 11s. On spotted bass, I'll probably go down 7, 8.
Okay.
So I will downsize some just to keep it interesting.
Yeah, gotcha.
But if I start seeing largemouth, I'm bumping it up.
All right. So Jeff Hodges, best resin to use and micro ratios for a starter. Hell, I don't even know what the hell that means. So I hope you know what that means.
Yeah. That's a very loaded question because it varies with different baits. Glide baits, you want them to float or be suspend. With other baits, you want them to sink.
Yeah.
So, and then you have the lead, and then there's a lot of moving parts.
That takes a whole lot to answer that. So,
but we are notorious for using a lot of balloons.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you your stability.
Okay.
So we're very notorious for using a lot of balloons and a lot of lead.
Okay.
A lot of ballast.
All right. And we'll get into that when we talk more about the specific, how you make your baits and all that. And Brittany Fowler. Hey, and Brittany, I haven't seen your name on here, so I appreciate you joining us tonight. Welcome to the family. That's what we are here at Fish North Georgia. Is there different sink rates for the ab glides coming out?
ABS glide.
ABS glide. Well, hell, I think it abs with this body I got going on right here.
ABS
That's
glide.
it. Can you pull it hit that up close when they're Blake?
Yeah.
Up. See, you gotta be like me. I never get it in there. There we go.
Yeah. Right now we're only doing one sink rate, and that's slow.
Slow sink?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe in the future?
Yeah. This will be out in end of October, beginning of November.
Okay.
That's when you start getting the first rush. They got a massive amount of orders for the bait. But it was unheard of, they told me.
Yeah.
So they're gonna
And this is the one that's made by
Bucca brand.
Bucca Brands.
And GSM.
And okay, that's
Correct.
it. So that's who you were down at ICAST with.
That's correct. That's why I couldn't come see you at ICAST. I was blown up.
Well, so was I.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, when you go to ICAST as a retailer, it's fun. You get to walk around. When you go to ICAST to work, that's a different story.
100%.
It's different. So like that. So
100%.
the improved uni is nice and simple while being very solid, says Dexter Lab. So kudos to you.
And I do that
John.
on my braid. Yeah.
On your braid? You do a uni on your braid?
No, improved uni.
Improved uni on your braid. I know Ryan, when he was here, there was not a name for it, but he did something where he kind of went through a couple of times and then took his braid up through, kind of very Palomar kind of.
Yeah.
We don't know what to call it. I don't even know how you would look it up. Giant chasers. This is a good question for you. Why am I going to catch my personal best on a bullshad?
Why?
What makes a bullshad so good that I'm going to catch my personal best?
That's a good question. And my answer to that is there is an art in making baits.
Yeah.
There's a whole nother realm of making baits that really do really well with big fish.
Yeah.
And that's something a craft that I've tried to dive into. Anybody can make a bait to catch fish, but I want to catch one that catches big fish consistently.
For sure.
Every year we do a double-digit collage, and we're always one of the most manufacturers that catches the most double digits among all the swim bait guys, and I'm very proud of that.
You should be.
Yeah, and but there's different things that catch different fish. We study the forage that we're trying to replicate. We have a 2,200 gallon tank in our shop that we use for not only swimming baits, but we throw threadfin in there, we throw herring in there, we throw gizzard shad in there, and we watch them die.
Mm-hmm.
That's information. We watch them do all sorts of stuff. How they swim. We throw swim baits next to them. There's a lot of little key things, subtle sometimes, that you can do to baits design wise that really has a difference. The floppy tail is one. Not only helps it swim in the bait, but if you look at the gizzard shad swim, their tail is just doing all this, and that is something that really triggers a lot of fish. And you look at the live gizzard, which is what
is this it?
Yes. That thing swims spot on gizzard shad.
Good Lord, look at that thing.
that bait just sits there and it has that wobble and that roll, and that
I love
tail
this.
just sits there and just kicks back. If you look at a gizzard shad swim and you look at that thing swim, it is almost identical.
And you're right. It's got a very floppy tail.
Yeah.
There was a question, and you don't have to go. Well, actually, scroll up a little bit because I want to make sure I mention this gentleman's name. Going up. And one more right there. So Bank and Eddie's. Hey, Mike, what rod and reel and line do you use for a 6-inch trick shad? What rod, reel, and line?
I use.
He's got one here. He brought his toys, guys.
This one here is.
You didn't mean to...
This is an 807. It's a spare rod that I have. I actually designed 2 rods. I designed the MB 836 and 835. Those are my utility rods that I use a lot. But before I had those, I had these rods. I didn't just like throw these things
And that's
away.
a Dobbins.
Yeah, it's a Dobbins.
Dobbins,
spread.
yeah.
I have a Bullshad rod. The reels, I've tried many different reels. This is a Scorpion. Now this is actually, it's a Scorpion. I've changed a lot of my gear ratios out to 7-to-1.
7-to-1.
That is key for me. 7-to-1, 7-to-2. That's good for throwing the multi segments. It's good for throwing the glides. It's really good ratio. If you have too slow of a ratio, you're killing yourself.
Yeah.
Working it. If you have too fast of a ratio, you kind of kill the action a little bit. It's very uncomfortable if you have an 8-to-1 or 8-to-3 or whatever. If you've ever fished a high speed reel, it's difficult to throw a glide bait, for me anyway. And then when you fight the fish, it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel normal, for me anyway.
Okay. So 7-1, 7-1-1.
7-1, something there.
That's what you recommend.
Yeah.
Now what we're going to do is turn right over here to John. What do you throw there, big dog?
Rods, Cash and Icon, Swimbait rods, which has a shorter butt than most Swimbait rods do, but I'm sitting in a kayak most of the time, so I want the shorter butt so it's not hitting. I've also got the Dobbins 795 travel rod, which breaks down. So like last month when I went up to Michigan, took the travel rod, so I didn't have 8-foot rods rattling around in the car. Yeah. As far as speeds, most of them I'm throwing on I do the Daiwa Tatula 200.
Very good.
Most of them I'm running the 7.1. What is it? 7.21.
So you're right in that area.
Now the ones that crank down a little deeper, I've dropped down to the lower gear, the 6.3.
Yeah, the ones
6.2 or 6.3.
If you're diving it.
So yeah, so I'm just so it's not wearing me out trying to crank it down deeper.
Okay. All right, guys. Again, like I said, I know there was a bunch of questions, and I'm gonna try to get to all of them and all that. So the one I see now is from Clint Bartlett. What is the craziest piece of cover that you've ever thrown a bullshad on? The craziest piece.
I remember when Altoona was up by the bridge, going over there, and I was fishing over the picnic tables with.
Ain't that crazy?
They love the picnic table, the trash cans. I mean, they just love that stuff. I was holding on to the bridge, and throwing the top of the bridge at Red Top.
Really,
you
was
couldn't
that
even
high?
get under it, if you remember, and I was catching some fish. But those are some of the type places that I catch them on Altoona. But I'm trying to think of anything else.
Well, hell, a picnic table I think suffices for the crazy.
But then, like the 4x4, these with the bill on them, they come through cover extremely well. It's almost like a giant square bill. So I chunk this thing up in the middle of laydowns.
Oh, really?
As long as you've got to fill it. You can fill it if it bumps something. So you fish it like you would a square bill. You're not just going to grind it through. But it really comes through laydowns well, rocks, of course, even water willow, reeds. Yeah. It really deflects well with that bill on it.
Yeah. I want to take a second, too, because I see him in the comment section. And I'm going to be putting this out on the Fish North Georgia group page tomorrow. And I want you guys, if you're not normal here, we'd love for you to come join our group page regardless. But we've got a viewer, and he's up there, Richie Rock and Roll, and we'll keep it that, whose wife just recently passed away suddenly. And he's having to deal with a daughter. And the fishing community here in North Georgia and across America is great. So they've actually set up a GoFundMe, one of his friends did, to kind of help him get through this time. And I've talked to him a little bit about his situation. And so what I want our viewers to do, please tomorrow go to and I'll put a link in the description of this video after it's over once we're done. If you could just see it in your heart, just to go out It doesn't matter if you got $5 or you got 5,000, just whatever. I would love for you to go help one of our fellow anglers in a moment of need, just to kind of help them out. I know lots of communities, when somebody passes away, we take them supper, or, you get food drives, whatever, just to try to take some of the pressure off. And I really want to challenge the Fish North Georgia community to just step up. And they set a goal for 5,000. They were close, they were getting there. I think they were over 4, but I want to do 10,000. I mean, I'd love for you guys just to supply a little bit of love and encouragement and consideration for that. So that's going to be on the Fish North Georgia group page tomorrow, and the link in this description once we get this video up and going. So just keep that. And Rich, man, listen, rock and roll dude, listen, thinking about you in my thoughts. That's a situation that I would never want to be in. Can't imagine it. So appreciate you watching. I told you that, we're going to do our part to try to help you out. And I want to make sure, while we got a good crowd on here right now, you guys, if you see it in your heart, like I said, $5-10 for the cup of coffee, a Happy Meal or something. Let's get it on this GoFundMe, and please. So she was 42 years old. Imagine that if you're married and you got somebody like that, your wife and all that. So appreciate you, dude. We're going to help you out, and we're going to push that for you. So you guys keep that in your mind, and show what the fishing community is all about, and show some love and help out there. So let's auction off some swim baits live. So yeah, we might can do that. We'll do something, but we're going to help them out. So a lot of guys in the comment section are telling they're thinking about you. So, but let's do more than think. Let's actually step out and help. We challenge our church every Sunday, take it outside the door. So let's take it outside of this show and help somebody out, because that's what we do, man. So anyway, appreciate you, buddy. We'll help you out. Back to the fishing. I probably missed a bunch of your questions while I was saying that, so type them again, guys, and we'll get back on it. Of all the baits that you make, what's your favorite? Of all the baits or that you've ever made, what is your Mike Bucca personal favorite?
This one here.
And tell our viewers what that is exactly.
9-inch bullshad.
9-inch bullshad.
I've caught more 7+s on these things than any other bait, including my glides. This is what got me started.
Yeah.
I was fishing these for 13, 14 years. And this here is what started it for me.
Yeah.
This 9-inch size, particularly. 9-inch size is a very good size for trophy size. You start getting a little bit bigger than that, it starts getting a little hairy and getting bites. But the 9-inch size is phenomenal.
That's it. So if you could only have one to fish for the rest of your life, you're going to pick up a 9-inch
for
bullshad.
trophy fish, absolutely.
For trophy fish. All right.
What's your best seller?
6-inch bullshad.
6-inch bullshad is the best seller. 9-inch is your personal favorite.
Yes.
All right. Now I'm going to ask you that same question. Of all the baits he makes,
The one that looks like the dog's been chewing on.
the one, yeah. So let me see that. So pull that up close camera to me. Now look at this bait here, guys. Pull that. Let's see. I got to figure out which way I got to go. There we go. Look at that thing. That thing has been run through the mud right there. That thing has been.
That was actually
hard.
That was my first bullshad. It's a bull wake.
Bull wake. But that's the one you like. Like if you only
I've got my PV on it, so I'm going to be biased. So yeah.
But if you could only have one for the rest of your life, is that the one you're picking, or you got a new one now?
Probably go with a 4x4. I'm fishing very, very shallow most of the time in the heavy cover.
Right.
So I think the 4x4, I can get a little bit more depth out of it, and I can rod tip up and slow roll it and get it closer to wake. So it's probably a little more versatile, but the wake bait itself just smashes fish.
All right. So Headwaters Jim Fallon. I don't know if do you know him?
I know Joan very well.
Do you? So he says you like all the 9-inch baits.
He's
so
very good.
He's very good. Well, there you go. I don't know. Is there a hidden meaning in that comment, or you just like throwing the big 9-inch baits all the time?
What's that now?
I said, is there a hidden meaning in that comment?
Yeah.
There is a hidden meaning.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a hammer.
He's a hammer.
Absolute hammer.
9-inch bull glide in bone. That's what he likes, in bone.
He likes to buy. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at the baits, and I see the 6-inch. We sell them here at Fish North Georgia. And, of course, too, listen, I got some of them put down in the shop section. So if you want to order them, we'll get you some. I see these things, and these things do not intimidate me as much. They're not intimidating. Mm-hmm. And you said to start off small.
Exactly.
But when we got some guys back here in the section, in the audience tonight in our studios, if you want to call them that, and they brought me something like this. Now I'm going to Florida in November to film for the Real American Road Trip, and he wants me to throw them. It's on a trophy bass lake, so I'm going to throw. I see something like that though. That intimidates the hell out of me. I mean, but it just it's I'm not used to it. And I think a lot of guys aren't.
That is a fairly large bait. So, I mean,
fairly
that intimidates most people, to be honest with you.
It's big. Let's see. Brandon C. Myers. Oh, no, let's see. All right, let me go up. I'm going to say, Alex, what's your favorite bait to target spotted bass? If you're just targeting
probably
spots.
a 7-inch bullshad or a 7-inch trick shad would be what I would do. Something a little bit larger than what you would normally, a normal person would throw. So 7-inch is big enough. Now, don't get me wrong. I've caught some 5-pound spots on a 9-inch bait.
Really?
100%. They will absolutely hit it. A spot is way more aggressive than a largemouth ever will.
Yeah.
Don't ever mistake a smallmouth on a spotted bass as not being able to eat a bait. I've caught 3-pounders on the 11-inch on Alatoona.
Really?
So
I agree with that because when I tie my jigs and we put a 5-aught hook and we're throwing them on Lake Lanier and stuff, everybody's like, why are you putting such a big hook on? I'm like, a spot will get it. You ain't got to worry about it. They'll eat it all day long.
They are mean.
They do. Let's see. I have all of John's waypoints for $5 each. So guys, hey, listen,
I don't even run electronics. He's just.
What if we do that? Then
It's one of the festive water.
We'll auction off your waypoints. We'll help Richie rock and roll with your waypoints right there.
I have none.
Yeah. Hard to beat the 4x4 in cover. I lead wire mine and it goes down quick and deflects anything it hits. So there's always people tinkering with baits and just kind of messing. So that's just something fishing. We're always going to do that. Now, here's a question from Brandon C. Myers, a name I recognize. So appreciate you joining us tonight, big guy. When would you not choose to fish a trick shad? What conditions, water, or visibility? So if you got a trick shad tied on, you go to a lake and you see it, what would make you go, no, not today. I'm not throwing the trick shad.
Cold. Yeah, they're not going to chase much. Now, you want to throw the devil's advocate, you can do the forward sonar thing, and that would change a little bit. So
do you use forward sonar in anything?
I do.
You do? Has it helped you?
It has.
What did it teach you the most, though? Because you're a bait maker. When you look at that forward-facing sonar, and let's take tournament fishing out of it. We're talking as a bait manufacturer. What did it teach you?
That there's fish down there that see your bait that won't hit it.
Well, hell, I see that. That works for me all the time. What about, like, could you tell? A lot of guys tell me they didn't realize how much fish move and how fast they were moving and how fast a ball of herring, compared to threadfin and all that.
Sure.
So those are details, though, that when you see that, does it go into your head, like when designing a bait or thinking about what to throw that day?
Well, the reason why these things work so deep is because it's the profile, especially for bigger fish.
Yeah.
It's funny, you're fishing in the wintertime and you're 20 feet of water and you see those fish positioned in 14 or 16 or, above the bottom. They will not chase it up top. Come spring, they'll come off that bottom and chase it. So you have to go down with this stuff. You could stuff your bait full of weights in the tuning chamber and stuff and go down to them. You almost know immediately in the wintertime if you're going to get those fish or not, because the whole school comes up and it's just chaos.
Yeah.
And, it's a fun bite. But cold water is tough if you don't do that.
What would you throw of all your baits, what would you throw in cold water?
I would throw a trick shad on forward sonar.
You throw the trick shad on forward facing sonar.
But if I didn't have forward sonar, I would not throw the trick shad. I would throw that dredger, that gizzard.
This one,
that's what I bought it for.
This one with the big old lip. Look at that thing. I could eat off of that thing. That big old lip.
So when I think winter, I think cold water. I think deep.
Yeah. Okay.
And that guy runs 12 to 14
Correct.
feet. So my idea behind it was because I don't run electronics very much, I use a Spro rock crawler as a fish finder, which is very similar depth. So last winter I was throwing the rock crawler to find fish and then switching over to the burrito to bump bottom to get the bigger fish off that school. So the idea is the same with this. Find the school with a rock crawler, throw the bigger bait that's got the same depth range, and target the bigger fish out of that school. Okay.
Hey, Jesse, you back there? Where you at? Yes, sir. So comment for you. Now, we don't get comments for the crowd section, but Battery Basson says, I see Jesse in the background, that old fishing amputee. So like that. So I just want to make sure, let you know that having that ugly mug right behind me, somebody actually noticed him back there and all that. He asked early before the show, should he move? And I'm like, no, man, We don't do that around here. We're family. Everybody's here. John, your waypoints are shitty.
That's Justin's
Justin's
joke because
piece.
I fish in Ackworth and they've had major sewage problems this year.
You ever hear about Lake Ackworth?
Oh yeah,
You fished
my
it.
shop is right there at Ackworth.
Why can they not keep the sewage spills out of Lake Ackworth?
I have no idea.
It happens.
I just read about that. I'm like, dude,
That was
they
the
closed the beach down, closed the lake down.
They've had this
Fourth
year.
time this year there's been a sewage spill in Lake Ackworth.
You would think that would figure that out, huh?
So don't eat the fish, but go catch them. So
That's why they got such
listen,
big
and,
catfish.
listen, and wash your boat down when you get
Yeah.
done. That gizzard shad has the nicest swim profile. This time of year, a baby bass occasionally will get hung up on my swim bait. Always reel as slow as I can when that happens. So I guess sometimes too, bass ain't smart sometimes. Sometimes they'll just hit it, just get up close to it. Even if you're throwing an underspin, they nip at the blade,
100%.
those kind of things like that. Kevin Smith, appreciate you joining us tonight. What line does Mike use for the live shad? What line do you use?
I'm going to use mono for live shad. Yeah,
Mono. So that's the one you don't
I
throw
do
the
use
braid
live-
on.
I use mono. It just it gives a little bit of spring coming off the wood and stuff because you want to have a little bit of give.
Mhm.
I'm usually a braid guy, and I've used to be a hardcore mono guy, and I wish to braid, but for the live shad, I've gizzard, I like the mono better.
Well, let me ask you that since you brought it up. Why do you throw braid the majority of the time? What is it about braid? Because John over here is throwing fluoro, right? You said you throw
Yes.
fluoro on most of it.
Mhm.
You throw braid. So why do you throw braid?
For 14 years, I threw mono. I was a big mono guy. There's a lot of reasons. When you're throwing these big baits long distances, 40 yards or so.
Yeah.
I mean, you're spooling your line. I mean,
Yeah,
on a lot
you
of
are,
big
yeah.
reels, you got a lot of stretch, and you have to have very good form. Either have that rod down there facing the fish so you can get the full hook set. So, and you're taking all that stretch out of there, hoping that your rod loads up before you get those hooks in there.
Yeah.
So, and that is the best way to bend out your hooks is because you don't have the hook through the fish's mouth. You're on the tips. So when
Gotcha.
it comes to the boat, big 8-pound, 9-pound fish hooked on the tips, and you're trying to do it, you got a fulcrum here, and you're going to open up your hooks. So a lot of people think your hooks suck because your hooks bend out. Well, in some regards, if your fish is large, like a striper, you would be right. A largemouth, if you have it hooked through here, it's very difficult to bend the hook out.
Gotcha.
So I use the braid for the biggest reason is for hooking the fish.
Okay.
I got started in it because the stripers were taking me into the damn laydowns
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
rivers,
yeah.
and I couldn't turn them.
Yeah.
So I needed something to turn them, and I just carried over. And Jim was a big part of that, and getting me to go switch to braid. So I use
80-pound braid.
80-pound braid. And the reason why I use 80-pound braid is when you throw braid with, say, 30 or 55 or even 60, some of these bigger stuff, you're going to have cast-offs. And the reason you have cast-offs is your line is so thin that it digs into your spool. And when your line digs into your spool and you go to cast, something's going to give.
That makes sense.
And it's not going to be the bait.
That makes sense.
It's going to be a line and it's going to go. So I like to have the bigger diameter so it doesn't dig, especially on these bigger things like this. That's really going to want to dig in. So when I tell people I use a minimum of 65 for something like 7 inches or less. And then when you go over above that, I would use something like 80 or so.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, they can see the line. Until they tell me otherwise, I'm going to keep using braid.
That's a big thing. A lot of people say they can see your braid, but I think you're still a bait that big or something like that. Their focus is on that bait and that bait getting away. So
let's think of an A-rig. Oh my
God. I know. Like, why in the hell did they hit
the
that?
wire?
Yeah, no.
So I mean, you have to really determine what's real and what's not, and what the fish think and what the. So until I start seeing fish turn off on my bait constantly, I'm going to keep with the braid. And I have yet to go to a leader yet, but it's in my boat. If I ever see the need to use it, I will tie it on. I'll be the first one to do it.
But you have no need for it right there. Blake, if you could scoot it on up, because I saw several questions. Let's see. where Bass Fishing 336, 2 up above that, where is the Expo price sheet? Is there? I don't know what that means.
Price sheet. I haven't even done it yet.
Okay, there you go.
It's still early.
It's still early. He ain't done it yet, so
Yeah.
it's coming.
Yeah.
Ken Pruitt, probably the best looking guy that comes up here like that. He looks like me. He's got our body built. That's right, baby.
There we go.
So he wants to know best weather conditions for throwing bigger swim baits. What is the optimal condition to throw a big swim bait?
I like it before the absolute best day is when the water temperatures are creeping up into the mid 50s in the morning before the full moon in the spring.
That's
if
the best
you can
time.
get all those to coincide with each other, it's magical.
When Jupiter and Mercury align with the moon and everything's working. All right. So what about you? Is there a day you go out and you're like, this is a swim bait day, baby?
Nah, any day I'm throwing them, but I don't really get to pick and choose days with weather and stuff because of my work schedule. So I get to fish when I get to fish.
That's true. And a lot of guys are like that.
Can go.
But honestly,
yeah.
I love middle of the day. I like it when it's blazing hot and sunny because I fish so shallow. I know where the fish are going to set up. They're going to be on the shade line or near cover in the shade. It helps me know where they're going to be. So I prefer a hot, miserable day.
You look like a hot, miserable day kind of guy.
Yeah. And then plus I run so much up shallow creeks that a lot of the wind and stuff really doesn't affect where I'm fishing because I may be fishing, a 10-foot wide creek and 2 foot of water way up the creek from the lake.
That's what you kayak guys can do.
Yeah. So a lot of the major weather conditions aren't really affecting me as much.
Okay. All right.
When I was fishing Altoona, the biggest thing that I had was patterning the largemouth. And they were difficult, but I had it down to a science. When that water temp was 55 in the morning and it creeped up day by day to 57, 58, 59, it was usually between 12 and 3 o'clock. And those fish were sitting at the mouth of the spawning pockets at any cover you can get. So you're looking at the last quarter of a spawning pocket. Anything at the mouth of that spawning pockets where there's brush and stuff, you would pick them off. And then you would just do a milk run. You would go to the next one. And it was magical.
So there you go.
Well.
So that guys, there's some juice right there.
Yeah.
That's some juice, and you can just replicate it if you can find it.
Yeah.
But what I noticed, what you said was 12 to 3.
Yeah.
And we read a book, or we were looking at a book a long time ago that tracked. What was Doug Hannon in Florida, another guy in Texas, and another guy in California. And I'll have to bring that. We've got it on the YouTube page somewhere where we broke into that book. But it was talking about when the largest bass were caught. You would be surprised at the majority of those were caught middle of the day, early afternoon.
100%.
And that is across the country. California, Texas, Florida.
I rarely catch a 7+ topwater early in the morning, before 10 o'clock, before 10:30 or 11, really. Really, it's 10:30 and on for me. And it's when it doesn't make any sense, but that's when I get them.
Yeah.
You can sleep in,
I like that.
And do that number.
I like that.
And just get out there when everybody's out there and just boom. It's just when they bite.
Yeah. I got to find that book and bring it back on. But what was funny is those guys kept really good records and they followed those records and went back and looked at all the data, and it didn't matter what part of the country it was in.
Right.
So you guys throwing money at me back there? Huh? You need to throw dollar bills, not pennies, baby.
Can you scroll up?
Scroll up a little bit there, Blake. What you looking for?
Web Obsessions.
Go up to Web Obsessions. Hey, what's up, Pontoon Jody?
There you
go. John.
That's one of the tarantula guys.
Why do you prefer the fluoro? Oh, yeah. So he likes he has tarantulas in his house. Him and his wife collect.
Anyway, that was Michael.
Spiders.
He's one of the tarantula guys.
Big ass spiders.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Why do I prefer fluoro? Probably just competence.
You ain't got no great scientific answer.
No, and I think
the hell,
honestly,
John?
a lot of these on the color is the same thing. If I can pay $20 extra to a local person who's custom painting something, that's going to give me the confidence to throw it. Is it going to catch more fish than a bone? Probably not. But the confidence is I'm going to throw it more.
Yeah.
And same with the fluoro. One of your earlier podcasts, I'd seen you saying braid, so I'll spool up braid, and I don't catch a fish that day. So Well, it's,
Yeah.
it's Mike's fault because I was
You're
throwing
fickle.
braid.
So you're fickle. That's what it is.
Yeah, so
But
no,
it
it's
is-
just confidence.
It is a confidence thing.
And I have not cast off on the fluoro. I'm using Invisex 20 or 25 pound. Or I told you when I went up to Michigan, I was throwing the Opsin 20 pound and I was catching pike and they weren't even cutting it off. So it's just confidence.
Yeah. Hey, scroll up one. And again, if we missed your question or comment, there's a lot of guys talking tonight and gals. Don't want to leave you gals out of there. That one right there. Mike, will we ever see painters blanks available on the Bucca brand baits, specifically the Rat? Jen is having all the fun. DIY painters don't want to buy knockoffs. We'd rather give Bucca brand our money. So would you ever think about just putting out unpainted ones?
I will say this, that Jen gets the same baits everybody else gets.
Yeah.
She buys them.
Yeah.
And she paints them. You know, if she doesn't get blanks either, she gets
whatever. But would your company ever put out an unpainted product just for those guys that want to do their own paint jobs?
I'd be open to it, 100%. I just need to know what, you know. I mean, we could probably do some guides and stuff like that. I mean, you're basically giving them a bone bait anyway.
You are. That's right.
Yeah, technically.
But I think his comment was, yeah, everybody can go to China and buy a knockoff.
Yeah.
He would rather buy the original Bucca and then just paint it a little bit. So listen, you might make you some extra cash that way.
I will talk to the powers that be and see what I can do.
See what you can do. See what you can do. Let's see. Headwaters Jim said my 310s caught last month was 6:30 to 10:30 before the heat. There's always exceptions, absolutely. So definitely not going to doubt that. I just know that when they did the data with these three guys, and they're all well known. Everybody knows the bass professor, Doug Hannon, from back in the day. That was the data, middle of the day. Brandon C., what depth are you fishing the 5-inch burrito and where? Now, the burrito, hand me that burrito right there.
Yeah,
ain't that one of them?
That's a 6-inch.
All right, well, 6-inch, 5-inch.
That's a medium.
My wife never told the difference. So look right there. So this is a burrito, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 6-inch.
6-inch burrito. And so this is your soft plastic one.
Yeah.
All right. So he wants to know what depth would you fish it if it was a 5-inch and where?
It depends on the time of year.
All right, let's say right now. Would you even throw it right now?
Are you going to fish that 15 feet?
That's the 5.
There you go. Yeah, you're going to fish that 15 feet, 16 feet. The fish are deep now in the summer. You know, when they come up in the fall and in the spring, you're going to fish a shallower. You adapt everything that you do with swim baits to what the fish patterns dictate. In the wintertime, usually you fish deeper, not always, but most times. And in the summer, they're usually deeper in the thermocline, so that's where you need to go get them. In the fall, they're moving up. They're chasing a shad in the creek, so you're going to be fishing a little shallower. In the spring, they're moving up to spawn, so you fish shallower. So that's the thing is the rules don't change just because you're throwing a swim bait. Fish are still doing the same thing. And that's what I said early on. Throw these in the same spots that you normally throw your normal baits. There's nothing special about these things on how you fish them. There's no new information that you need to know. You just need to throw it just like you do a chatterbait, just like you do a spinnerbait, and just close your eyes and pretend you're throwing your favorite chatterbait. That's what you need to do. And get it out of your head.
The fish that put me into the bigger baits was a 7-pound 4-ounce, and I was out on a big flat. You could see the shad moving. You could tell something was after them, and I just threw a spro popper over there and caught 7.4. So get it, take her pictures, let her go, and I noticed something floating. I go over, scoop it up. It was a 12-inch gizzard shad. That's the school she was chasing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if this fish is chasing a 12-inch bait, I need to start throwing bigger fish so I don't have to worry about the spots that I hate.
You hate spotted bass
or the 12 or 14-inch fish that I'm trying not to catch. So once I caught that fish and saw what she was eating, it kind of changed my perspective on what to throw, and immediately went over to a local shop. You guys weren't, shop wasn't open at the time.
Sure.
So picked up that and started catching fairly routinely 5, 6, 7-pound fish.
Fairly routinely.
I mean,
I still can't get that 24-inch fish though.
I know. Well, he's a kayak guy. It's all about the inches and the length instead of the weight.
Right.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
I always ask, he goes, I caught a 23-inch fish. I'm like, well, what the hell did it weigh?
Yes.
You know, that's
you have to think about it.
I have to think about it like that.
But I've caught 23-inch fish that are anywhere from 5.13 to 7.14.
I know, and you use that relative weight and all that stuff. I get it. I know I missed a couple questions. You guys type them again. But Dexter's Lure Lab says, I like this channel, says it as it is. Appreciate the compliment. That's it. Listen, we try to treat this podcast just like all of us. We're sitting around a campfire drinking a cold one. And that's just the way it is. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but if we get the good guest, we try to get you that information. But appreciate that comment. Kevin Thornton, who's on my Thursday night show, Father Time. I went fishing with him on a Monday night, we got our ass kicked. It was terrible that night. He wants to know, in September, what swim bait would you throw? On Allatoona. Swim bait on Allatoona in September.
September is a tough month because you've got and
let me, for those of you that don't know, Allatoona is a lake here in North Georgia, about 30 minutes north of Atlanta. It's not Lake Lanier, but it is a good lake.
Yeah. You got the when the Thundercon breaks up.
Turnover.
The turnover.
Turnover.
Yeah.
That's usually a turnover month. That's a brutal time of
It
year
is,
to fish down
yes,
there.
it
Jeez,
is.
That's brutal. Usually that's the one time that I have several different baits on the deck.
Okay.
I like to throw that dredger, that guy gizzard a lot. I'll try to throw a glide. It's one of those times where you junk fish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough to get that kind of fish September.
That's what there was a question I remember now about the 18.
Asking why you discontinued the Dredger 18.
Why did you discontinue the Dredger 18?
The dredger, what now?
18. Somebody put in the comment section.
Can you scroll up?
Yeah, scroll up, Blake. Look for the one. It's keep on going. We'll find it. Want a couple more. There
Right
you go. And I can't even pronounce this name.
Dredger 18,
so
okay.
Hitakayan 0912. So yeah, why was the Dredger 18 discontinued? Not too many deep crankbaits on the market.
The live gizzard is a superior swimming bait.
Which one? Oh, this one.
That one there.
So this is better.
Correct. I mean, that pretty much was the bait that I've been wanting to make for years. It sat in my drawer for 2+ years trying to figure out how to get that bait to swim. The thing with the dredger, and I'm very, very picky, is the bait swam, but the tail stayed stationary.
Ah, yeah. And you like the tail to move.
And like I was saying earlier, I'm trying to mimic the swim of a gizzard shad. And if you look at a gizzard shad, that tail is doing this number. So that's trying to figure out that bill configuration and the angle of it solved that problem. So
I do need a 10
I want my bait to work. All the segments have a reason, and they all swim. I don't want something to go on for the ride. I want it all 4 joints or 3 joints or 2 joints to be swimming at all times.
Gotcha.
And that's what that does.
Gotcha.
So
Blake,
they may not dive as deep, but I guarantee you it swims a whole bunch better.
I got you. Blake, you alive back there? I just want to say, hey, we got Blake in the closet back there pushing buttons. He's awful quiet tonight. I just want to check in on. There he is in all that redneck glory. So did Danny just say something good about Allatoona? Well, I got to fish it with Kevin. I like Father Time, but that night it was tough. Allatoona is a Dead Sea, stay away? I don't think so. Now, here's your question. Does Mike think in crystal clear water, painted versus bone glides matter for giant largemouth specifically?
It is hard to beat bone bait. It is so difficult for me to put down a bone bait.
Yeah.
The only time I will do it is if I start seeing them follow a lot and they turn off and it's not my fault. And a lot of times it is my fault.
Yeah.
I will try a more natural color.
Okay. Yeah.
But I throw bone on Lanier. I throw bone on Blue Ridge. I don't care what clarity it is. They will see that thing. And I'll tell you a funny story how the bone baits came apart. Jason Hammond, who was one of our longtime retailers, he says, Mike, why don't you sell any bone baits? I said, why? He says, we sell more bone baits here in Lanier than any other thing.
Bone is big.
I hightailed back to the shop and I made me a bone bait and I went out to the lake that next day. And I'll be damned if it didn't produce like it was.
No, yeah.
And I've been stuck on it ever since.
Yeah.
And it just produces. And there's a lot of different reasons, I mean, if you take shad, I have a picture that I show people. It shows you I caught shad in the cast net and I threw the bone bait on there and it blends in with it.
It does, yeah.
And then what's the bottom of your favorite topwater? What color is it?
It's always like a bonish or white.
Bone white.
Yeah.
And then what color do fish turn in muddy water?
They turn a lighter color like that, yeah. Look at that.
Why are we fighting it?
It's too damn obvious right there. But Randy Blockett put out that video that one time, and he said remember that video he did about bone?
You should be throwing the mega
You
bass,
should be
baby
throwing
bass that the
all
bottom
these
color's
other
bone.
colors. Bone is like, but then he says in that video, but bone catches fish. But, and I'm like, Randy, you need to stop. If it ain't bone, leave it alone. If it ain't bone, you're doing it wrong. Up north, bone for sure. Everybody likes bones tonight. So Live Gizzard is amazing. First hour I had it, I landed a 9 pound, 6 ounce bone colored.
There you go, Dan.
Yeah.
Good job.
So I like, hell, we shouldn't even make any other colors like that. So Danny, this is from Kevin to me.
Good fish,
Danny.
Tuna. Kevin.
Which one is that? Okay, yeah. Took 5th with a big fish at 5.73. Wish you were with me. Why the hell didn't you catch that when I was with you? So anyway, hey, I'm impressed with you there, Father Time. That's awesome. Mike, I love your baits. Your baits have caught me some giants in some Florida lakes. I want to thank you. And I'm hoping in November it's going to catch me some. Neil Scoggins has got a question. Explain your retrieve for the Bullshad. Let me preface this by saying this. John and I were talking before the show, before you even got here, and I'm like, we were talking about how certain things are retrieved. I'm like, every video I've ever seen of Bucca, he's burning the hell out of that bait. You fish it fast, like faster than normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen anybody fish a bait unless they're throwing a Seville or something over brush on Lanier and all that. But you reel the hell out of it.
I do burn it quite big sometimes. You know, I did a video with the tactical bassin guys and I explained that. And it's funny that Matt and them were struggling with it for a while. You know, so we can't figure it out. And then when I took one of his buddies out there fishing with me one time, we caught like 20-something pounds of fish. And he says, Mike, I can't believe how fast and how shallow you're fishing.
Yeah.
And that is what triggers it, you know. And I had another buddy that he's won a couple of boats in Texas. And he pays full price for his baits. I said, I don't get anything from him. And he says, Mike, even if I told him what bait I'm using, they couldn't catch them. And I knew right then and there, he's figured out the retrieve.
Yeah.
And that is the speed. And it's not necessarily the fast more than it is keeping it up at the top. Where it bees on the top or where it's right under the surface is keep it going. It doesn't have to be this at times. Sometimes with the herring on the near, or even out tuna now with the herring in there, you want to clip it a little bit faster with the herring. Yeah. Because those fish are very agile. They're super fast. You ever see them go? They're 100%. They're jumping like mullet.
Yeah, they're crazy.
You know? Redfin don't do that. Redfin's, you know, they're dumb and they just sit there and get eaten.
Yeah, but that's right.
Herring are going.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I think it works the way it does, is speed and the herring lakes and stuff.
And are you doing a straight retrieve or are you pausing?
I'm almost a straight retrieve. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not really fancy.
Just keep it going and cover water. That's key. Just cover water. Don't sit there and hit the sweet spots and move. I call it the run and shoot offense. You know.
Oh, boom, you're old school there. Run and shoot. Yeah.
Hit it and go. You know. Your first cast to a piece of cover is your most effective cast. Mm-hmm. So why don't you make as many first casts as you possibly can by putting that trolling motor on high? I call it Van Damme it. Put it on high and cover some water.
Yeah.
And boom, you just cover as many pieces of cover as possible. Make 2 casts move. And then use your boat and go fish more. It's just like that.
It makes sense. Now let me ask you this. Lake versus river. You just like that on a river as well? You know, you're going down a river, up a river, whatever the hell you do, and you come across a big blowdown. 2 casts, nothing, and I'll just keep on going.
Well, what do you call river?
Moving water with a lot of current.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those fish are easier to catch, in my opinion. I grew up in river fishing, you know, and we fish for stripers and we fish for shoal bass and that kind of stuff. The rivers are easy. You just look for the eddies and right there.
Throw it in there.
I mean, it's easy pickings almost.
I got you.
And it's easy. And also because a lot of people don't throw these bigger baits in there. They're fishing jigs and spinner baits and that kind of stuff. And they work great, but they come unglued when they see something big like this. And it's funny when you get, you know, you had Robert on here a couple of times, big striper guy.
He is.
And you get those stripers up in those rivers and they violate all those forages in there. They literally eat it up.
Oh, they do.
And then you throw something in there and it's like they come unglued on it.
Yeah.
Because they've eaten all the forage in these little bitty rivers.
Yeah. And that happens on the Etowah because they run up from Allatoona and they get up there and they eat everything. Now, Blake, put it on there. Put that camera on your ugly mug right there. Now, you went on the Etowah in your kayak about what, a month ago? Yeah, get that mic over there.
That's not me. It's just it's like a month ago, and I was actually throwing like a 6-inch swim bait, and striper and the bigger spots were eating it. But if I can go get in the river with a 9-inch swim bait and catch everything that's big, I'm gonna do that.
A 9-inch, yeah, absolutely. So he did that. He actually caught y'all had a spot that was about 5 pounds that day, right? From the upper Etowah. I mean, we're talking Dawsonville.
Wow.
We floated
That's
Dawson.
a good fish right there.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, it was. And
Yeah.
it's pretty. I can't believe he caught it, but he did.
I catch a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
a
big
good
spots,
fish.
but no, we caught a big striper,
Big striper.
about 15 pounds, and then I caught that. I think it was the 5.5, 6 pound. I mean, it was healthy. It's the biggest spot I've caught in a long time. But we caught a lot of big healthy spots. But we wasn't fishing anything small. I mean, we were fishing
big baits,
big paddle-tailed swim baits.
Yeah, so they were which that makes sense. Lipsticker, Kevin Underwood. He's been on the show a time or two. He says, "What's up? Love the bull herring."
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So, and if he loves it, if he didn't like it, he'd let you know. So, but like that,
he catches good fish too.
Man can
really
fish.
Yeah.
He can fish. But he was on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about we're talking underspins. I'm sure you don't throw them very often. You're not an underspin guy, I don't think. But he was talking about when you see these follow-ups, a lot of guys kill it, slow it down, hoping the fish eat it. And he speeds it up, like, because herring flee like hell. They're going to run, which goes to what you just said with that speed and everything.
Exactly.
Watching the herring,
Right.
they're moving.
Right.
There's your underspin.
Huh? Oh, so we do have an underspin here. Yeah. So you added this, right?
Right.
Or is this one of his things?
It's an owner.
Owner. Oh, that's the owner.
Swimmer. It's a 10-aught.
Good Lord, look at that. Yeah, he took. Now this is that burrito again, right? What is this?
Yeah, it's the.
Can I take the hook out? Can I just show you got a hook? I want you to see the size hook he is using in this thing. It is a 10-aught.
Thank you, Jeff Brazil.
Mike knows his baits religiously. Best glides on the market. Trick Shad is the best chop glide on the market. Pull that up close camera there on me there, Blake. I don't even know which one it is. All right, here's my. Damn it. I sound like Mike over here now saying that's a huge, huge hook.
Well, it looks ridiculous in your hand.
It does, but once you put it in there, it fits in so nice and it's tight and you can't even see it. What you got to do? Now, I ain't listening. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. But that's a big ass bait. I mean, hook, so he showed me that hook and I was like, good Lord, you're not using this on a fluke.
You can't set the hook like a sissy now.
No, and that's nothing. So let me ask you about your hook sets. You across the eye guys? Because, you're throwing long cast. You mentioned earlier about pointing the rod at them. That's a big thing with you, making sure the rod's pointing at them. There's none of this, I assume, leaning into them. You cross their eyes when you set a hook?
I knocked the hell out of them.
I kind of figured that's the way it was going. I knocked the hell out of them. So
the only exception is, with this bait, I let them go for a little bit.
Get in their mouth, make sure they got it.
With the beast hook, yeah.
Okay.
But everything else, just cross them. It's really hard for the kayak guys because they're spinning in the wind and the current and stuff.
Right.
And it's hard to be throwing the
yeah.
And that's why I recommend braid a lot for the kayak guys, especially in the rivers and stuff.
And boat
because they
position
get turned,
on the
spin around and
kayaks
stuff, and you get out of position and you can't get that hook set sometimes. And then also when you hook it, you're moving towards the fish.
Yeah,
right.
That makes sense.
So boat position is very important on the kayak because you lose so much power on your hook set. Ideally, you want to fish perpendicular to your boat.
100%.
So you've got the side of the kayak pulling against the water.
Right.
That doesn't make for good video. So when I'm running the camera, I'm facing where I'm fishing, but I'm swinging from the hips. Up, I'm letting them have it.
So Headwaters Jim says Mike is dangerous with a hook set. He will knock you out if he hits you. You're a big old boy. I imagine that might be. What is the biggest mistake you see guys do when throwing swim baits? Any of these things? Any of them. What's the biggest mistake or several of the mistakes you see? What are you seeing out there?
There's a bunch of them. Getting intimidated.
That's number one. Yep.
Don't be intimidated.
Right.
This is what fish feed on every day. You've seen them spit up bluegill how many times? Shads how many times?
Oh, well, yeah.
Gizzard shad. You've seen bass dislodged and bass in the lake.
If a bass can get his mouth on it,
there was, I think in Mexico when we went, there was 6 days in a row when we found an 8-pound fish plus fish with tilapia floating on the top. These fish
They try to eat it.
They don't mess around.
Tell me about that Mexico trip.
Yeah.
Because all we get to do is see the pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me what it's like bass fishing in Mexico.
When it's on, it's absolute Jurassic Park.
Really?
It is Jurassic Park. It is like, this is the life. This is how they're supposed to hit. They're going to see another boat as far as you can see. And when they're on, they're on, my best trip there, I had 5 trips in a row. I caught 40 plus, all 5 trips, all 5 days.
Good Lord.
All on 8-inch version.
8-inch version.
But it's not always like that as far as the swim bait spot. Sometimes it's a jig. Sometimes it's a whatever,
Yeah.
That lake is very peculiar. You have to adjust.
What lake was it?
Bacharach.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. Lake Bacharach.
But I've caught half a dozen tens on swimmers and jigs and stuff. I mean, it's just my biggest one there. My first day, my first hour, I caught a 10-11. That's my biggest fish to date.
Down in Mexico.
Was in Bacharach. Yeah, on a jig.
Okay, so that was like, and we're going to keep talking swim baits, of course, but what are your other go-to baits? I mean, do you throw anything else other than swim baits? So like
only in Mexico.
Like here, your swim baits, everything.
Only in Mexico.
No shit.
I'll throw an A-rig occasionally.
Yeah.
But I am hardcore trophy big bait guy.
Yeah, because you don't do tournaments or nothing like that. So you're just going out. You're hunting.
Right.
You're just hunting.
Yeah, I'm deer hunter. I let the little bucks go. I'm getting there,
Yeah.
You have to grow into that, just like with deer. You have to let the small 8s go.
Yeah.
Well, this I'm just fishing for 7s and 7 pluses or bigger, and that's just the mindset you go. I am completely happy not catching a fish. Completely happy. I want to maximize my chances. I'm not there to catch fish. I'm there to catch the biggest fish I can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
5-pounders are nice. Don't get me wrong, but I'm looking for 7 pluses.
Yeah, that was my next question. What do you consider to be a trophy largemouth bass? When does the word trophy start with you? Because you've caught so many of them.
For largemouth here, 7 plus.
7 plus in Georgia.
7 plus is good. If you get a 10, that's mega.
It is.
Oh yeah,
and that's an old fish.
I got a 10 last year out of Georgia, so they're here.
Yeah, no, they're here.
They ain't easy.
Sure.
You asked Shan Gorman on this side a couple of times.
Yep.
He'll tell you how hard it is to grow a 10.
Yeah, because he does the same thing you do. He and you do too. You're more. I would
not
consider
quite
you
to that level. I'm still happy with the 5-pounder.
I get it. But you want the trophy.
I'm hunting for the bigger.
You're hunting.
fish.
You don't care nothing about spots and stuff. Like you hate spots.
No, and if I catch 2 or 3 12 or 14-inch largemouth, I'm moving to somewhere.
Yeah,
because I'm kind of thinking they shouldn't be hanging around something that's big enough to eat them.
That's a good point. Now let me ask you this, because we've heard it said on this show. In your experience, have you noticed that largemouth might be a little different than spots, but bigger fish tend to hang out with bigger fish?
Oh yeah. Usually you see several.
Yeah.
Usually it's piled, especially in the wintertime before we're sonar. They are piled up. You can see 4, 6 to 8 of them come up.
Yeah.
And they're all big. You just hope the biggest one gets it.
Yeah. Do you ever using that forward-facing sonar, which I'm for, by the way? I don't believe they should ban it or none of that stuff. That's just me. It's my opinion. Don't shoot me. That's just my opinion. But when you're using it and you come up on a spot and you scan, can you tell these are the kind of fish I want to fish for? And can you say, okay, these are not? I mean, and just go to the next spot?
It takes some practice.
Yeah.
I'm not great at it, but I'm decent enough to be dangerous with it. But when you see 2 different pieces of the same blob move, the tail and the head, that's big.
So when when you see that,
when you see the tail, see the tail moving and the body, and usually it's 2 blobs.
Yeah.
And it's the body and the head. That's big fish.
See, that's the thing. We talk because, we're on Lake Lanier, Allatoona. A lot of guys are fishing deep for spots, of course, like that. And I always am curious as to, like, when you get the Emil Wagners and all these young guys coming up that are really good with the forward facing, sometimes they'll scan and then they'll leave. They won't even throw. And I always ask them, what is it? And he's like, well, you can kind of tell the quality of the fish. I've never heard anybody kind of like what you just said. You can kind of tell.
No.
That's a good tip right there. I'm not good enough to do it.
You don't have it.
You don't have it like that. Several people. Okay, now Palms 353. Let me make sure I get this question. What rod set up for the big baits?
What's that?
What's for your bigger baits? What's your rod setup? Like, I mean, what brand size rod you
I'm
using?
using an 836 Dobbins rod
That's
that
right.
I designed.
That you
And
designed.
it's rated 2 to 8 ounces. That
Okay.
is probably the most versatile rod for swim bait fishing that I know. The only reason I use the 835 is for 1 to 3.5. It's lighter.
Yeah.
There's no sense using a heavier stick for a lighter bait when you can use a lighter rod.
That makes sense.
So, but the 835, and I like I said, 7-to-1 ratio. I like 300 series reels, and for anything like this, a 400 for
Yeah, you're gonna need it.
plus.
Yeah, you're gonna need
It's
it.
just easier. And another thing a lot of people don't realize
He's pulling out the equipment here again.
is I like these Gomexus handles.
I
These
was
are the
getting
deal.
ready to ask you that because that is not what come with that reel.
Yeah.
So what kind is it again?
This is a Gomexus handle that I got from Wayne Campbell off of Swimbait Universe. He sells them. They don't give you any extra speed, but they give you leverage.
Okay.
It makes your life a lot easier. It's kind of like a winch on your boat. That you winch it up. Think of that thing. That handle was really short. You'd be going.
Yeah, it would suck.
And then make it longer. You're like, oh yeah, this is a whole bunch better.
Yeah.
This gives you more power, and that is the same concept with these.
Okay.
The wider gap in the handles. You know, usually they're like right here. They're like, well, bitty thing. You're sitting here doing this now.
Like doing it with a Zebco 33. Yeah. So who makes that again?
This is Gomexus.
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 And you can find them on Swimbait.
Swimbait Universe. Wayne Campbell. This is actually his brand is Swimbait Universe handle.
Okay.
So I love these things.
Yeah.
You know.
I know when you picked that thing up earlier, that was you had I noticed the handle first.
They also have.
He's bringing out another one. Mike, don't tell them about the power handle. Brittany, listen, I've noticed one thing tonight, Brittany. You keep telling him to hush and not give out information. We're gonna have to fix you, girl.
So here's the cork handles.
I like that.
So, and they're not bad. They're $60 maybe.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah, no,
There's
still.
some that you can get 100 plus, but this is just basic rock gut handle.
Let me see if we can do this without knocking over a camera or something. Blake, could you give me a close up here of this on that camera?
That's a 908.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
So,
go.
but you can see, your average one's about right here. Look how much I still got. I can put basically, I ain't got hands as big as yours. So there's 4, probably 6 of my fingers in that way like that. So
it's the gap here. It's the distance between
Yeah.
the two handles that is what makes it better.
all right. So okay. So Jeremiah, I missed your other question earlier, and you got 2. Sorry about missing it. I don't know. Why didn't you just come slap me in the back of the head when I missed the first one? It was the Bullshad question, right? For 10 plus pounders. What was it again? Sorry, make sure. What was it?
I was asking, would it be his number 1 choice?
That's right. That's right. So in his earlier question, he wanted to know what would be your number 1 choice in the Bullshad line going for 10 plus pound bass. What would be the number 1 that you would
How
take?
deep?
How deep? Fairly shallow. Let's say this time of year.
Now, so you're looking 15, 17.
Oh yeah, hell, they're deep. Let's say in the spring. Pre-spawn.
Well, spring they go
Pre-spawn.
up some. It's going to be between the burrito and the live gizzard.
The
That's what
live
I would
gizzard,
do.
that's
Go
what you
down
do.
deeper. I'm making a shallower one.
Oh, we just dropped a little hint right there. So then Jeremiah's next question is, do you find yourself fishing deeper for the bigger fish with the deeper diving baits these days, or still mainly near the surface
All right.
with the standard Bullshad design? What are you finding yourself doing more often these days?
I'd love to catch them shallow. It's easier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just so much more fun casting its structure and casting its physical stuff, a dock or a grass or a lay down or something. I mean, who doesn't like to fish that way? Versus fishing offshore where you're always concentrating on your electronics. I mean, it is boring. I mean, forward sonar is boring as heck.
It is. It's
I don't
effective
like to
though.
do it, but there are certain times of the year where it's better to do it.
Yeah.
But I like to throw it shoreline stuff. I like fishing current, the creeks and rivers and stuff of that nature. But anytime I can fish shallow, I'm signing me up.
You're going
and
shallow.
that's what the 90% of my baits do. They're made to be fish shallow. All of the hard baits, except for the live gizzard there, are designed for 5 feet or less.
Okay. All right. So now I got to do this because I've had 15,000 comments. They want to do a Bullshad only tournament. Now
Wow.
listen though, Spro reached out. Stephen Young reached out to me today, and they're having that frog tournament on Gunnersville. They're expecting 400 boats for that tournament.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I can't handle that kind of
no, but they wanted me. And the comment section said, "Get Mike to commit to a Bullshad tournament." So let me ask you this: if I got the permit. If Fish North Georgia got the permit, now I'm not promising nothing, guys. We're just talking hypotheticals.
We're spitballing.
We're talking hypotheticals right now. If I got the permit, would you be interested in kind of throwing a tournament like that?
It's just a big bass.
100%.
Huh? What'd you say there, Blake?
Because I know nothing about running a tournament.
Just do a
It's a pain in the
I don't
ass.
fish tournament. Oh no, that's why.
It's a
That's
pain
why
in
you
the
do
ass.
it.
Do a what? Just a big fish?
Yeah, just do a big bass tournament on one lake, kind of like the big bass.
Big bass,
but you
yeah.
do it only with the bullshit.
Yeah. I'm in. Can I throw the herring?
You could throw the herring, Mr. Lipsticker.
Let's Danny make the Bullshad Derby happen. All right, Brittany, because I think you're gonna fuss at me if I don't, so you probably never come back. But I tell you what, I'll talk to Mike about it afterwards, because you want to pick the right time of year,
And the
that
right
kind of
lake,
stuff,
yeah.
the right lake, even if it's an online tourney or something. Online tournaments are fun, but I like seeing people bring, other than you kayak, enter guys. I like seeing people bring them to the scales. I want to see what they caught. Huh?
I don't like it.
You don't like it, and I know that. Doing online, everybody wants to do these online tournaments. Jordan Lee was on my show, and I asked him the biggest difference between being in MLF and then being in Bass. What was? He said there's just something about pulling into that arena with all the people there to watch the weigh-in that he did not get with MLF. So
Right.
I get that. Clint Bartlett says we need to do it in May. We'll figure it out, guys. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. You guys are going to have to remind me, because you know how my mind works. Hell, I'll forget in a day or two. So, Robert Bretts, appreciate you joining us. Black or white whopper ploppers on spawn banks in shallow, where bait fish are staple in pockets. Lake Norman eating them up. Hey, listen, I can't stand a damn whopper plopper.
I don't throw them much either.
I cannot deny, though, that people catch big fish on
They
them.
do.
But I'd rather throw a buzz bait. I don't like whopper ploppers, but they do catch fish. An online tournament just opens up more people. Must be a public body. You guys, why the hell are you asking me to set the tournament up? Y'all guys are doing it right there. Y'all just tell me when. I'll get a permit. I'm not running it, but we'll do it. Y'all figure all that stuff out and hit me. Shoot me a message on Facebook. Trophy ceremony at the shop. That I can do. If Mike buys the trophy. So we'll figure that out right there. So here's the question, though. All right, here's the question. Let's say we get this. In the rules, can you fish your own tournament? I think it should be a let's beat Mike Bucca tournament.
It should be a what?
Let's beat Mike Bucca tournament.
Jesus.
Huh? Listen, don't you think that'd be fun?
Yeah.
Do you remember that TV show where that guy was on ESPN where it was beat Bobby Flair, whatever the hell it was? He was that one guy that would go to your lake and you would compete against him that day. And he didn't get to pre-fish. He would just show up. I think that would be pretty cool. He said he's in. That's a commitment. You already committed to this. The guys heard you say you're in. So bring him to the scale. We'll figure it all out. But I think that would be an interesting twist. We'll do this. Like we'll set up a tournament. And I got to do the Toys for Tots tournament in December. That a lot of information coming out, so we got to do that. But we'll set it up where there'll be 2 awards, or there'll be like a bonus. Well, hell, we can't do that. What if he wins? What if Mike wins his own tournament? Does he get to keep the prize money and all that? Yeah. Let's do that. We'll do that. We'll talk about it, guys. I drive to Georgia for it, said Jeff Brazil. Well, hell, let's set it up this way. Let's do this. I'm all about doing charity tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Let's do it. Let's figure us out a charity that you want to sponsor. You figure out a charity.
Let's donate it to Mac.
We can do that. We'll give it to Mac.
100%. Mac's a good buddy of mine.
I like Mac. In fact, I talked to him the other day. We're going to do a recorded podcast where we're going to go. He's going to come in here. It won't be live, but we're basically just going to cover his entire life.
100%.
Start how he got his fishing from then to today. So that way we got that on record.
I don't know if you know this about Mac. He was one of the first people to do the A-rig. He had the umbrella rigs.
Yep.
He called it umbrella rigs. This was long before the A-rig.
Oh, yeah.
Long before the A-rig. So I think he was the innovator of the umbrella rig. I could be wrong.
It might as well have been.
Yeah, right. But he was well before the Alabama rig was.
Let's figure out how to do that. I think that would be really cool. But it has to be a Bullshad only tournament.
Sure.
We'll do it. That'd be cool. Beat Charlie Moore. That's what it was. It was hilarious. You're right, Jeremiah. Does Mike see the trick shad as a multi-dimensional bait or only as a chopping style? Is it multi-dimensional?
It's multi-different. Most people don't know that the trick shad can actually glide if you let it. If you look at some of the videos, it'll glide out about a foot or so. And it also chops. But you can also fish, as with all other glide baits, you can if you pull the pin, you've got a tuning chamber inside the head there. And the reason for that tuning chamber is so you can add weight to it internally.
Oh, hell, I didn't even notice that.
So you don't have to do the wire wrapping thing or tungsten putty or anything. You just add balls in there.
Did you know that?
And,
okay.
So we were one of the first ones to do that.
So I don't know if I can get it in the camera. Let me see.
Jeremiah.
I got it right here. If you look, I got it right there. That's clear right there. So if you look right there between the two pieces of metal, there is a hole in the head right there.
He's got it.
I got it. Yeah, I was able to get it. We'll thank Josh McCaig for adjusting that camera before he left for that. So right there. Like my wife told me I never could hit the hole. Oh, hell. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Get it on this camera right here. Pull it back on that one I had on. So there you go. And this has got, have you got anything in that?
Yep. We got a few in there. The beauty of that is you could take that gun and you can make it a fast sink, or you can make it in a couple of cases, you can make it a floater. But I prefer mine to be suspend or very slow sink.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not an experienced swim bait guy. So there's probably guys out there watching going, yeah, Danny, we knew that. But I did not know that. And I told Mike before the show, hell, I'm going to be learning as you guys are. Did you lose the pen?
With the pen, but oh well.
We'll find it. You're lucky we're up here, not downstairs, because Blake's hair from us cutting his. We did a charity thing with Blake a couple years ago where we shaved his head live. And if you guys want any of Blake Buchanan's DNA, we got some of that hair downstairs. It's still downstairs. We don't clean up. So let Mike fish, blah, 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 blah. I agree. We only fish if Mike does. So apparently you're going to fish a tournament. We're going to say, but I do like your thoughts with Mac.
Sure.
He's just a damn good man.
Yep.
I like that. So that's going to be good. Jeremiah says the trick shad glides, chops, walks in place, works as a bed bait, and even burns without blowing out. I've caught them doing all kinds of stuff. Fun fact, the glass rattles fit in there too.
Sure does.
Brittany.
Absolutely.
Do you know, Brittany?
You can put. I put knockers in some of my personal.
You do?
Baits. Yeah, you put them in. The thing is, a knocker, if you put glass rattles, they rattle this way. But if you put the knocker sideways, so what happens?
Listen to this.
So that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. If you put them in this way, you have to move it this way to hear it. But if you put them sideways,
I didn't even
knocker in there. Yeah, you can hear.
Let me hear
put
that
there sideways.
All right, so this knocker is put in the way it should be.
Right. That's
so when the head kicks back and forth.
Hold the. Yeah.
Hey, what? I'm not in it. You do it on your mic. You know what the hell you're doing. What size hooks are on the six? Oh yeah, I guess that would have been simple. I was trying to be realistic. With it. So
okay.
I got that. What size hooks are on the 6-inch trick shad? And also, one rule is in the tournament you can't go in the river.
Okay,
that's a rule. I don't know how they're making rules up.
The prisoner fish are gonna have to wait then.
What size hooks are on a 6-inch trick shad? 1/0?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you still fish tuna or lanier? I figure you probably fish tuna.
A little. Yeah.
The videos I see now, you like the rivers though.
Yeah,
you're in the rivers a lot.
Yeah.
You catch a lot of big stripers.
I do. I'm picking up the stripers things. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a different animal than the bass.
What do you like better?
I like both, but the stripers are starting to pick up, starting to get to me.
What's the biggest striper you've caught so far?
Right at around 30.
Good night, man.
Yeah.
In the river?
In the river.
Can you imagine the pool?
Yeah, I just caught it this year.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
So you fished the Etowah a lot?
Some.
He's like, his ass is like, I don't know if I did. You see that pause? Well, only reason I say this because we got the upper Etowah up here. I call it the upper. You know how Allatoona is laid out? Everybody says north, south. I can't figure it out. But the Etowah near Dawsonville, the stripers run up towards Dawson Forest and all that.
Right.
And I hear stories about guys catching 30-pounders in the Etowah.
Yeah.
Shallow water fishing, all that trash.
You have to get a jet boat to get in there.
Yeah.
Or kayak.
Or a kayak, or big stripers hit hard.
Yeah.
And so I'm Justin Dover. Oh, so Brittany, okay, never mind. So Brittany is Justin Dover is on his wife's account. So Brittany is not some chick that I was getting. Yeah, so damn, what a letdown. I mean, all of a sudden, what a letdown right there. But anyway, I get it. Well, we appreciate it, Dover, right there. So, but tell your wife, hey, we appreciate her as well. So, start a fishing tournament for military veterans. Best branch and top dog co-anglers can be non-vet. Hey, that's always a thought. Line burners is what Kevin Underwood calls them. So describe the differences for somebody that's not familiar with stripers versus bass and how they fight. What's the difference in a 10-pound largemouth bass and say a 20-pound striper?
What's the difference between a deep?
No, a big largemouth and a striper. I mean,
it's kind of like hunting elk versus whitetail.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's just different. It's just a different speed. It's kind of like going for shoal bass or Sawanis or a lot of people, spots are nothing big for here, but there's a lot of people who never caught a spot before. It's just the allure of how to catch them. Shoal bass, they live in the shoals and stuff. It's actually one of my goals is to probably do a Georgia Slam with a swim bait. That's probably what I want to do next year. Just catch 5 bass for Georgia Slam and catch big ones.
Yeah, see that's a cool slam that way. I know a lot of guys go and they catch, but to catch them on swim baits.
Yeah.
To be more specific, said I'm gonna catch the slam and I'm gonna do it on one style of bait and that's it.
Right.
That actually would be more impressive to me than somebody that just catch. I mean, it's
100%.
impressive anyway.
You betcha.
But to do it like that, so better pray your gear's right, or you're gonna be losing some money. Says Brittany / Dover over there. Okay. Which would you rather catch? 15-pound largemouth bass or a 40-pound striper?
Damn.
Come on, I'm gonna put it on you. Which one? Because both of those are gigantic fish.
I'm gonna go with the 15-pound largemouth because that's a more of a feat than a 40-pound striper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, especially in Georgia.
I think a 40-pound striper is actually doable. But 15-pound largemouth, that's brutal.
Let me since Justin Speech brought this up, the rat.
Yeah.
How in the hell did you come up with that bait?
What's that?
The rat.
Rats are very popular in the swim bait world. It's actually probably the most crowded segment in the swim bait market. And I have always loved rats. They are a very not very well understood by the general public type of bait.
I can understand.
But dude, they catch.
Yeah.
Bass hate those damn things.
Let me be honest
middle
with
of
you.
the day.
Yeah. Somebody, the hell, it might have been you, Jeremiah. First time Jeremiah was on it. So somebody pulled out a rat. Again, I'm not a swim bait guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe my comment was, that's the most gimmicky looking damn bait I have ever seen in my life. And then everybody was like, oh no, they catch fish. And I'm like, on that, they catch fish. And I'm like, and as I have done Fish North Georgia and learned to listen to people and all that, they catch a lot of fish.
And I will add to that, there's not a better looking swimming bait, topwater bait, than a rat, especially the one we make. I'm biased, but if you've ever seen our rat swim, it is.
Yeah, it's got the S swim, but it also has a body roll to it. And even the
tail
brand,
is always in an
baby,
S, and it's
the baby
synchronized.
Rat, it's a killer.
Swims.
But okay, but let's be honest. Like you know me, I don't do it. I bet you that is a common response when people see a rat in a package, and they're like, "Really?" But Jeremiah loves them. I know. Now he had one that was kind of that funky colors or something.
That Spro Disco rat.
He had a Spro Disco. Now, we're not going to talk bad about Spro, but that Spro Disco rat. That's the one I said looks like a bad night down at Little 5 Points. That's what I call the Little 5 Points rat.
Yeah.
But, okay, how do we throw the rat?
throw it out there and reel it in. It's
Just
that
that.
simple.
I knew it
There's
had to be.
nothing new about how to fish these things. It's really simple. Throw it out where you would throw your top water plug, and just when you see that tail just doing this little dance, you got the right cadence, the right retrieve speed. Just keep doing that, and then you can twitch it. If he swirls at it, stop.
Does it sink or
Sit
float?
there and twitch it a little bit.
It floats. So it is a
floats,
floater.
yeah.
It's a floater. It's a floating raft.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can really slow it down and have just a nice S turn. Like I said, if you speed it up a little, it'll actually crank down a little bit. I tend to fish them pretty slow, rod tip up.
Yeah.
And I really hitting the grass lines.
Yeah. I mean, you never see rats on the shoreline. I can't tell you why they do it. They're just bass are opportunistic feeders. If they see something cool, they're going to hit it.
Well, same thing with a duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to come out with a baby
Ah.
duck.
I throw
Bullshad baby
a lot of
duck.
crawlers.
Yeah.
And I had a duck pattern going on a particular lake that I was on. I had to be careful there.
on an undisclosed
Yeah.
location.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So, and my son, he caught a 6-pounder on a glide, and we put him in the box. We are going to take a picture. And next thing he opened the box, and there was a duck. And it was as big as a Gatorade bottle, a little bitty Gatorade bottle. I mean, it was about that long. And I said, hold on a second. Let's go find those ducks we found earlier and fish them. And sure as heck enough, we caught 3 or 4 more fish fishing behind the duck. The key was not to hit the ducks,
Yeah,
to scare
right.
the ducks.
right.
You want to throw enough behind them to where it doesn't straddle them, and you want to corral the ducks. So you throw in front of the ducks when they start going away from you. So you get them coming back this way, and you throw over here. So you're sitting there going back and forth, and you can look up in there and you can see the bass following the ducks.
I'm definitely
No
stealing
shit.
this idea.
Listen, I never thought about that. Now, NC, it's on up, and you ain't got to move the comments, but I know NC Bass Puller said he's been catching a lot. I believe he said on the rat. Robert Brett, so this is pretty good. Does the fish know it's a rat? No, Robert, it probably don't, but it sure as hell does to me.
It'll smash it. Yeah, it doesn't know.
The baby bull rat is sick. Somewhere in Mexico, Lake X. They're trying to figure out your lake, that secret undisclosed location. I've seen a bass spit out a chipmunk.
I believe it.
Yeah, bass are stupid. They will hit anything, but if the action on it is like what you're saying,
100%, they will hit anything. They are the apex critter in the water.
apex critter. I like that. Saw a bass puke up a thread fin the other day. It was pretty wild. Bass, listen, them things, especially spots. You pull them up out of deep water, and they're barfing up minnows, crayfish, duck fishing. I can dig it, says Hot Rod Dave. Again, as somebody that doesn't fish swim baits, if I go now that I've met you and I know the guys that do it, but let's just say 5 years ago, and I go into a store and I see a duck on the wall, I'm thinking, again, gimmicky. But them being predators, it makes sense. When I did muskie fishing in Tennessee, the guy was saying muskies are like that.
Oh yeah.
He's had muskies come up and hit boat paddles when they're in their drift boats going down.
Wow.
They just, if they think they can get it in their mouth.
No.
But Latham has ducks every year. We get out there and there's always the mom or whatever and a bunch of them. But you do notice
If you've ever noticed, they start to slowly disappear.
That's what I was getting ready to say, Blake. Yeah, you see them one day and there's 12 of them. Go back a week later and there's 5 of them or 6 of them.
I'll be damned.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Jeremiah wants to know any new stuff coming out with the Bullshad saltwater baits. The mullet is awesome. Jeremiah's trying to bait you into something.
I'm a saltwater guide. First of all,
Really?
I was a guide for saltwater long before I was freshwater. I lived in South Mississippi and we fished in the Louisiana marshes a lot.
I didn't know
So
that.
redfish and trout and flounder,
Yeah.
jacks, you name it. And they hit it. Oh, absolutely hit swim baits. It's just hard to get into that market. The saltwater people are a different breed than the freshwater guys. I was talking to a guy from Tampa that came in my shop today, and he was telling me the same thing. They fish a lot of live bait.
Yes, they do.
In freshwater and saltwater than they do. And they're very weird when it comes to hard baits. They fish the barrelers, the old favorites, and it's hard to get those guys to transition over, and they need somebody to show them that, just like when I did this 16 years ago, we was like trying to sell, ice cream in the middle of Alaska.
Right. Yeah.
$50, $60, $100 baits.
That's
and
right.
You have to train, educate, and that's been my whole thing is doing that. And it's even worse with the saltwater guys.
Kind of like the kayak guys I know.
Yeah.
Y'all get stuck in your ways. You're stuck in your ways.
I guess.
You are. I always say kayak guys are a different breed of people.
Yeah.
I love them. They're some of my best friends.
Yeah.
But a kayak guy versus a boat guy, they think different.
Yeah.
They just and so
They're
saltwater,
critters.
different critters, and so a saltwater guy thinks a little different than a freshwater guy, just different critters.
But I'll tell you this about the kayak guys: they put me on the map, 100%.
Oh, they're the best
because they fish. Back in the day, they used to mostly fish the rivers, and they forced you to fish my baits the way that you're supposed to fish them. Because if you don't, they sink down in the current, and they tumble and all that kind of stuff. So if you reel it up like this, and they're very active, cooler water, and they're easier to catch, and they're only in a little certain part of the water. They're not in a lake or they're out in the middle of nowhere. They're in the river, and they literally helped me put our baits on the market early on in my career.
That's good. I listen. If I had to sponsor one person today, I'd pick a kayak guy.
Yes.
They also do social media better than most boat guys. So he gets very animated with he likes that stuff. He's a lot of arm movement. No, I like it. I love it like that. Hey, listen, guys. So we're an hour 35 in, and so we're getting later on in the show. Getting ready to end it here in a little bit. If you got any more questions for Mr. Bucca, you need to throw them out here so I can make sure I get them. If I missed a question from earlier, same thing. I apologize, but throw them out there. None of you kayak guys own a scale. That's right. I get that. Can we get a limited Halloween drop, like a zombie trick shad, like KGB, Pete's, etc. done, I guess. So
Jim would die. She would literally fall out of her shoes if somebody asked for something like that. That's what she does. She's my painter.
She's your painter. Yeah. She does a good job.
Just absolutely love to do that. Just let her loose and do something like that.
But could you imagine walking in the shop and say, all right, listen, them Fish North Georgia guys, we got to do a Halloween edition now. Just come up with something. So Bucca brand baits, there's a question mark. So let's talk a little bit about Bucca brand baits.
Okay.
That's good. Appreciate you doing that. Headwater. What's the future for it? What are you doing now with who was it that
GSM.
GSM is a G or J?
GSM Outdoors.
Okay. So kind of, what's the plan moving forward with them as far as your baits are concerned?
We're going to make a bunch of swim baits made by myself.
Yeah.
My designs. And I think that's what a lot of the industry needs more of is people that dedicate themselves to swim baits, to design ABS baits, more affordable baits for the general public.
Right.
And we're working on a bunch of different stuff, and they keep me under wraps on what I can say, but we're working on a bunch of stuff. And I'm really excited to be working with those guys. I mean, they've got a team like all-stars.
Yeah, right.
I mean, all those guys. And I know I work with Chris McCalley. I've known him for several years, and he used to work for Strike King for 17 years as product development. And I mean, it's just a bunch of all-star people that we're working with.
Yeah.
And but we're working on a bunch of different stuff.
I got you. And I did realize
they're just trying to get. They're overwhelmed with the orders that we got with the ICAST for the ABS trick shad. So they're trying to get that under wrap before we go further. But we do have other baits in the works.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. When will the new Bucca brand trick shads hit the street? Says Justified Fan 98. You know what I like about this? There's a lot of new names in the comments section tonight. A lot of them. And I appreciate you guys.
Crowd.
You got a big crowd.
He said late October.
Did you say late
October?
End of October,
November, somewhere in that time frame.
Okay, so there you go. If you could accomplish one thing from here on out, the rest of your time on this earth, when it comes to fishing and swim baits, what would it be? Like, is there one thing in your mind that you like, some kind of crazy idea or anything? I mean, if you could accomplish one thing, what would it be?
For what now?
For anybody that fishes your baits, or hell, I don't even know what the kind of question. What I guess what I was trying to say is, like, when you go to these companies and you're doing for that, you're trying to make it a more affordable brand.
Correct.
Not a lot of guys will pay the money for custom swim baits like that. Sure. We get it. What difference can Bucca brand baits make in that market? How about that? Say for the affordable, price conscious consumer.
Right.
I mean, what would you like to accomplish there?
What we're trying to do is get people started into the swim bait side of things. previously what happened is we were relying on other companies to design baits, Savage Gear, Spro prior to KGB, a bunch of other little companies that were making swim baits. Nobody really specializes.
Right.
They have a swim bait, they have worms, they have spinner baits, they have just, we're going to do nothing but swim baits. Savage Gear does the same kind of thing. But where I'm going to have designs inspired by myself that made ourselves successful. So what I'm going to try to do is what we did with the baby Bullshad when we came out with 5 or 6 years ago, is get people started on our brands and follow us through.
Yeah.
Hey, they do good on this one, or they can't afford a $50, $60, $80, $100, $200 swim bait. Get at least on one of my brands.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I have is I've had a lot of high school kids say, hey, man, I want to be sponsored by you, that kind of stuff, because we can't afford it. And I totally get that.
Yeah.
And that is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do the ABS bait. So it's more affordable so that those high school kids can afford it.
Yeah.
And fish one of my baits that I've designed.
That's good though. That's a good point right there.
That's very important to me, and I just want people to be able to fish my baits, whether it's an ABS bait or if it's a custom bait.
Right.
I don't want to discriminate on income or anything like that.
Yeah. Good point there.
Yeah.
What do you think about some of the larger companies? Not calling out any companies, basically copying baits. Because it happens. We know it happens. It is a very touchy subject. And you ain't got to call out any companies, but we both know that there are companies out there that will basically design the exact same bait that another company or an individual like yourself has come up with.
My motto is like this: if you have to copy somebody, you admit defeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my motto.
Yeah.
It's okay to be inspired, but taking somebody's lead design and modifying it, tweaking it, that's anybody can do that.
Yeah.
But coming up with your own design and seeing it through and know that I created this thing. Just because you made a carving from scratch doesn't mean you can't copy somebody.
That's right. That's right.
So, and you're starting to see that a lot. People copying the tuning chamber that I come up with, or how I paint my baits, or how I design my baits with the pegs and stuff.
Does it piss you off? Does it, just straight up honest, does it piss you off?
Yeah, it does, but I hope people see through that.
Yeah, no, I know. But your first reaction is just kind of like, damn, do your own thing.
Yeah, it makes you want to wring the neck. It does.
I understand. I understand.
That's your hard work, and they're benefiting from it. And like I said, it's okay to be inspired, but be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah.
You will get a whole bunch more respect in any industry if you are true to your own design and your own imagination.
Yeah.
It's hard to innovate. That is the 100% hardest part of my job, is to innovate. And I've got designs that are in my drawer as we speak that are lacking key things to make it work. But if I copied so-and-so's bait design on his mechanism, it would work. I can't do it.
Yeah, I got you.
It's not in me.
Got you.
I can't do it. I will not. I would rather not put it out there than do that.
I got you.
Or I would contact him if I felt good enough. But I wouldn't do that either. I really wouldn't.
Absolutely. So Walton says, I got to lay hands on the new ABS ones at ICAST. Are going to be great. Big companies can afford the intellectual property lawyers. It's gotten tougher for the little guys. And copying is sickening. Throwback and KGB just went through it. Sad to copy someone's 100 hours of innovation. And I get it. I get it. It's like,
one thing I'll add to that is your patent is only as good as the money you have to defend it.
That is true. That is true. Yes.
No, it's one thing you're spending 10, 15 grand for a patent, and then that doesn't mean you're scot-free if somebody infringes on it. And whoever that big company is, or
overseas,
right?
Yeah,
you can't even play that game with overseas. But you have to spend tens of thousands to defend it. And
right.
By the time you did that, you wasted all your money. So
I got you.
That's a catch-22 there.
It is. Will there be we might have talked about this, but Young Fishing wants to know, I'm getting tired of that. Will there be a trick herring in the future? I love how he laughs. Like Yes, maybe. Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe. See, I gotta ask the question. I gotta ask it.
Sure.
So, Nick, what is your favorite social media group or forum regarding swim baits, and why is it Universe?
Those are my boys.
That's your boys right there. So,
those are my boys. Those guys have helped me tremendously over the years, and they've done a lot for the swim bait community. They've created a cult. We have a gathering every year in September, sometimes in other states and Virginia, and all of us as a group, we get together, and as the manufacturers and customers, and it's just a big iCast for just swim baits.
Yeah, okay.
We all release our new stuff. You can buy stuff there and like an iCast.
Right.
It's a one-day thing, and then they have a tournament that next day, and it's only swim baits. It's only 7 inches or bigger. So you're just going for it's just that's what this defines us as an industry. Just something you don't see. You don't see a bunch of crankbait guys getting together.
No, you don't.
Crankbait guys getting together. So it's very cool. And
I like that.
Moderators are awesome.
I like that. So there you go. So that is Swimbait Universe. Swimbait Universe.
That's Swimbait Universe on Facebook.
On Facebook. So there you go. Fish North Georgia approved. If that means anything like that. So no, I appreciate it. All right. So guys, listen. I want to do one thing before we go, because I think you've been quiet. I've been pounding Mike. But as an angler and as a friend of mine, I know what you say to me. But like, for the people out there, what is it about Bucca and Bucca brands that you've fallen in love with? I mean, because you're one of his big, and Jeremiah back there talks, and I know Shannon Gorman talks about him. From as a man, I'm putting you on the spot. Show me some emotion here.
Yeah, they catch fish is number one thing, but honestly, it's the price point of these in the $50 to $60, $70 range. It's something that's not easily affordable, but I guess once you wrap your mind around, you may chunk $70 in the lake and not get it back.
Yeah,
it's something reasonable compared to the $200, $300, $400.
100%.
But besides that, it's the performance. Like I said, I've caught the biggest fish in the last year that I've ever caught.
Yeah.
And plus it's local. I mean, I'm always trying to support the
100%. That's what I was hoping you were saying.
And that's one other thing I was saying about the custom painted. It's one reason that I buy the custom painted from y'all's shop is I want to support the local painters as well. Even stuff that's not swim baits, I tend to buy from little one-man shops. I mean, it's a tough industry, especially when you have some of these giant companies.
That's why you like us. That's why you come hang out with us.
Yeah, it's your sunshiny personality.
And he is the nicest guy. He's a true gentleman, one of my best friends. I owe him a lot. He has always had my back.
Yeah,
but it's like that. If you can support somebody local, 100% always do it.
Oh, yeah.
But like you said, you're taking it to a national level with the ABS stuff and all that. So you are working on the affordability. And I do think a lot of people come in and they'll look at one of them on the wall and they'll see the price. And I'm like, well, if you want to catch big fish, that's the bait to throw. And I think once they wrap their head around that, but it's the fear. It's the fear of losing.
With them being local, and we can just go in the shop. Every time I've walked into your shop, whether you're there or not, everybody will stop what they're doing, answer any questions, have a conversation. Like when I come into your shop, we can talk about stuff.
Boobs.
I've had friends. Stop it, Danny.
What did we talk about? What did we talk about today?
Nothing. That was you.
No.
Anyway,
listen at you.
But I've had friends come into the shop and ask questions about it, and his guys will pull one out of the package, throw it into the tank, and teach them how to fish it.
Yeah.
It's something you can't get by ordering online or from some of these huge companies.
Yum, yum, Carson. That's right. I need you to say that one time for me. As loud as you can. I want you to go, yum, yum.
Don't do it.
One more time.
Yum, yum. Just look at the mic. Look at the camera. Look right there at that camera right there. Now say it loud. Go, yum, yum. Just say yum, yum.
Where? Oh,
yeah. Just
I don't
repeat
know
that.
What that is.
No, I know you don't know what it is, but I just want you to say it.
Okay.
Just say yum, yum for me one time.
Yum, yum.
There we go. All right, we got it. I'll tell you what that is later.
Fair enough.
All right. Real quick about your shop. Where's it located and when is it open? I know when you're doing the shows, y'all have to kind of shut it down when it's show season a little bit, right?
That's correct.
So, but when is it open and when can people actually go see it? Where's it at?
Well, our shop is in downtown Ackworth.
Yeah.
We're right there. We're near Main Street. We're just off. It's Ackworth Industrial Boulevard, Suite 101. We're really close to the police station.
Okay.
So, but we usually do 8-9 shows a year. We'll probably do We usually do some New England shows up there in New England.
Yeah,
New
yep.
England's a big market. For
It
us.
is. I bet it is.
We do usually we do a show in Virginia. We do shows in the Carolinas. We do the East Tennessee show. We do the Noe show here in Cartersville, and then we usually do the Classic.
Yeah,
Bassmaster Classic, wherever it's at.
we're gonna go have a booth at Bassmaster Classic this year
good deal.
for the TV show again. The producer wants to do it.
Yep.
When will the shop close for the season?
We're going to try to keep it open as long as we can.
Yeah.
We had some flack on keeping it open, keeping it closed. So we're going to try to keep it open.
Okay.
But it's tough when you're doing all those shows and you're busy and everything.
That's the difficult part.
It's cost me a lot
That's
more
the
money
difficult
since
part.
he's opened the shop.
Yeah, I know you're over there all the time. So,
Yeah.
but it's cool to be able to go somewhere and actually lay your hands on one and see it like that. So, I need you to look at the camera, John. John, look at your camera
I'm
and
not
say it.
playing that game.
Say it,
Justin.
John. Say it.
You're not going to bully me.
You tell it.
Huh?
Tell it.
Tell him. Anyway, so all right, so guys, so we're gonna kind of end with that. I want to say I appreciate you coming up here and talking. You dropped some good juice and all that. Hadn't met you before tonight. We've talked via Facebook and everything. So it was a pleasure meeting you.
You bet.
And look forward to seeing what all these little ideas that are going to be coming out and everything. So and guys, listen, you know,
I'm
John.
going to be following ducks around for the rest
Ducks.
of the
I'm
season.
going to throw a damn duck. That's what I'll be home. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Guys that come in and like a duck, and I'm like, Bucca said throw a duck. Bucca said very cool to put a face to a name. That's right. So it is very cool to do that. So, and guys, listen, if you're ever in the area like these yahoos behind me, you know you can come watch the show live. But I want to thank you again, and I wish you all the success and everything. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to throw one of these baits in Florida. We'll see how I do. But
Try.
I'm going to take what you told me tonight,
Yep.
and I'm going to try to put it in. And if not, I'm going to call you up and say, what the hell am I doing wrong? So,
You know, the biggest thing is don't throw it when it's tough in the summertime. It's not a magic pill.
right.
But if you're catching topwater fish and active fish, throw it then. Get yourself some confidence in it.
Mhm.
Then, okay, I see it. And then the bells and the whistles will start going off in your head. And then you'll be able to apply it a little bit better. The main thing is get confidence in it. Get some fish in it. And don't throw it just in summer and winter is their hardest times.
Right.
So spring and fall
Yeah.
are the easiest. So when you're on a good topwater bite or a good spinnerbait bite or whatever, that's when you want to throw it. And that will upgrade your catch.
It better work in Florida in November. That's when I'm going to be throwing
There
it.
you go.
So Orlando. So guys, hey, listen, we appreciate it. Couple things. Again, I want to, as you go back, if you watch this later, in the comment section, or excuse me, in the description under the show, I'm going to have the GoFundMe account. I really want you guys to help out our buddy Richie Rock and Roll there, you know, that lost his wife. Really want you guys to do that. And just show the community what kind of fishing community we got. You know, just whatever you can give. If you give out of a pure heart, trust me, down the line somewhere you'll get paid back for it like that. So also too,
I would take Jim up on his offer if I was you.
if you
live
come
in-
to
if you're down in
Florida,
Headwaters,
look
he'll
me
take
up.
You out. He is one of the best swim bait guys in Florida, bar none.
Can I get his contact information from you? Because
Absolutely.
I'll pass it on to my
100%.
producer. Hell, we'll come down there and
100%.
record an episode. So love that. So appreciate that offer.
Right.
Again, we'll talk about the tournament at a later date. You know, we'll kind of figure that out. I know you guys were having a lot of fun with that. And have I missed anything, Blake? Did I miss anything? If I got pretty much covered it all, make sure. Well, I got most of you. Go to YouTube and go to Facebook and join or subscribe to the Real American Road Trip, because we're going to be putting a lot of behind the scenes content from the show, a lot of me throwing stuff up in the trees and stuff,
Can
the
I
real
plug
stuff.
Festive Water?
Plug Festive Water.
They just expanded their shop, so they're going to have a much larger area for the fishing kayaks and rigging.
Yeah, it's off Highway 369
Yeah.
going down towards Lake Lanier.
Yep. And they just expanded the shop this past week. I think they opened it up.
Yeah.
And I got a lot more room and a lot of cool stuff in.
Yeah. And if all you new guys, all these new names I saw tonight, hey, come on back, subscribe to the channel. Danny gives away free chicken on Thursday nights, and we are on a diet. Kevin Thornton brings us chicken wings. So,
I'm off the diet.
Huh?
I'm off.
You're off your diet now?
Yeah.
Well, good for you. You should be. So now you can eat. So, but guys, come join us, and we'll be back Thursday night. Make sure you subscribe, do all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But come back Thursday night. There's a possibility. We're working it. Van Halen does rock. They're the best. May this week have, oh, good grief. Ryan's going to be back. Ryan's going to come see us. And I just drew a blank. What's the rookie of the year?
Trey McKinney.
Trey McKinney. I don't know why I forgot his name. Trey McKinney might be our guest Thursday night. We're working on it. So, but guys, hey, listen, it was a great conversation tonight. Again, Mike, appreciate you doing it. It was very good.
Man.
So we will see you guys on the next live. Well, Thursday night. Y'all have a good evening and enjoy Wednesday and whatever. We're out here. See you.
Bye.